When it comes to creating or capturing content, whether it's video or photos for thumbnails, all three of these cameras are great options. The Sony a7 III, a7C, and the new a7 IV. However, they all have different strengths and weaknesses, but for people looking at a camera that'll best suit their needs, I'll be breaking down all the features and best use case scenarios so that you know which one to buy by the end of this video.
You gotta just press record.
Hey, what's up? It's Omar with Think Media, and this channel is all about helping you build your influence with online video and YouTube, and we do that by sharing the best tips and tools on how to do so, like talking about the best cameras and doing camera comparisons, but also how you can get started with your smartphone. So if you're interested in that, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll be sure to post links down to everything down in the description below when it comes to these cameras and also the best deals and things like that. So be sure to check that out. So the first thing I want to talk about is the similarities. Right off the bat, these are all great cameras to create content with. These are all full frame cameras, meaning they'll give you great background blur and low light performance if that's something you need. They all have microphone inputs, so you can plug in whatever mic you'd like to level up the audio. They have clean HDMI so that if you want to use these cameras for live streaming or you want to level up your Zoom calls, it's very easy to use. I would say, however, the Sony a7 IV has a new feature that Sony has implemented in their cameras where you can just use a USB cable to plug into your computer or laptop and use the camera as a webcam with no special software or no special hardware. All three of these cameras shoot 4K video, where the a7 III and a7C shoot up to 30 frames per second, which is great for real-time videos, kind of like what you're watching now, or maybe vlogs and things like that. Whereas the a7 IV shoots in 4K 60, which if you want to get into a little bit of slow motion, it's super cool that it has that feature. However, there is a crop when you activate 4K 60, just something to know, but it's really nice to know that if you want to get super crispy slow motion footage, the a7 IV will be able to do that at the highest level. All the cameras have great autofocus and you never have to worry about your face being out of focus, specifically if you film yourself, and is really one of my favorite things about Sony cameras is how reliable their autofocus is. They all use the same battery, and it's the new Sony NP-FZ battery, which gives you great battery life and you never have to worry about a day's worth of shooting because for the most part, it's gonna last you for the day. All these cameras are capable with the same lenses, and it uses Sony EF mount, so just getting the body and then whatever lens you need is really wise. And so you can just invest in getting the body of the camera and then getting the lens you need, so you don't have to waste your time with a kit lens like most people do, which I do a lot. So I actually don't have a kit lens for either of these cameras. I just have lenses that I've purchased over time, and so that's just something to know. They all use the same lenses. Now, as far as price goes, at the time of shooting this video, the Sony a7 III is the oldest camera out of the bunch, and this one comes in at right under $2,000 for the body. But because it's an older camera, you can totally shop used. And if you buy used on Amazon, if you didn't know this, they actually warranty their used products. So you can actually save a lot more money getting a a7 III as opposed to the a7 IV. The a7C comes in at around $1,800 at the time of shooting this video, and that makes it cheaper than the a7 III, which is really cool because it is a newer camera, but I'll go into why this camera might be better than the a7 III and vice versa in a little bit. The a7 IV comes in at around $2,500 for just the body at the time of shooting this video. And again, posting links down to everything I'm mentioning in this video down in the description below. So be sure to check out updated pricing and to check out those used deals on Amazon. Now, when it comes to the camera that actually is the best value, even in regards to all the features and things, I would say right off the bat, the best value would probably be the a7C. There's just so many cool features about this camera, but the price point and being a full frame camera is really nice, and the fact that you can find it used, but I would just give that to the a7C because most people just need to shoot great crispy YouTube videos, and the a7C will do that. The next thing I want to talk about with these cameras is versatility. You want the best investment for your purchase, and knowing what a camera is capable of doing is really smart. And if you know what you're going to use your camera for, you can actually save money. And with that being said, the Sony a7 III and the a7 IV would be considered really good hybrid cameras. These are cameras that perform really well as cameras for photography as well as cameras for videos. Now, I know we're talking about specifically YouTube cameras, but you know, in essence, you're gonna take photos for your thumbnails, and the a7 III has about a 24 megapixel count, but the a7 IV has a megapixel count of 33 megapixels, which I think is a super cool sweet spot for photography, but 24 is gonna get you by for sure when it comes to YouTube thumbnails and things like that. But if you wanna dabble into more photography things, the a7 IV would shine when it comes to that. One cool thing I love about the a7 IV in regards to being able to use it for photo and video is how easy they've been able to make it to switch from photo and video. There's a little switch on top that can literally, in a switch, change you from video or photo mode, as well as S&Q mode, which is kind of like a slow-mo mode, but don't have to go into that in too much detail. But the a7 III has it all on the dial, which is just another point of maybe inconvenience. But for simplicity, the a7 IV definitely wins in that arena. Now, if you are someone who's going to film yourself and you're gonna have nobody behind the camera, definitely the a7 IV is gonna be better than the a7 III because it has a flip out articulating screen. So you can definitely see yourself while you're recording, which is super helpful. I know I mentioned it a moment ago about live streaming or video conference calls, but just straight off the bat, the a7 IV would be the easiest camera to use for that because of the USB feature. Not to say you can't use the other two with a HDMI and a USB capture card, but it's just nice to just put this in webcam mode. And speaking of live streaming, if you plan on getting into live streaming, I wanna talk about the sponsor of this video, and that is StreamYard. StreamYard is how we go live here on Think Media and the Think Media podcast, as well as our private Facebook groups. Simply put, StreamYard makes live streaming so easy while having engaging transitions between your slides or sharing a video, as well as bringing on guests if you'd like to conduct interviews. We absolutely love StreamYard, and anytime you see us go live, we use StreamYard. And if you wanna check out StreamYard for yourself, you can check them out by checking out the link down in the description below, or just go to streamwiththink.com. Now, I haven't forgotten about the a7C. I just wanted you to know about hybrid cameras and the use cases for that being that these two cameras, the a7 III and a7 IV, great for photo and video. However, the a7C is really a camera that's geared toward video creators. I would say it's almost the perfect video creator camera. If you are just planning on shooting videos, the a7C is gonna be an incredible camera. This camera, especially for beginners, is so easy to use because the way they designed this camera was for creators and didn't want to put too much on the camera for you to have to worry or think about. They have a record button right on top, which is nice. The camera has a flip out articulating screen, which is super helpful. And I absolutely love vlogging with the a7C, honestly, more than the other two because of how small and compact it is. I actually made a full-on video of my vlog setup with this camera, and if you wanna check that out, we'll put it in the description below. Another cool thing about it, specifically for vlogging, is that this camera has IBIS, which is in-body image stabilization, meaning that there is hardware in the camera that will prevent the camera from any hand jitter and shake. The a7 IV has a digital stabilization, which doesn't work as good as IBIS in my opinion, and when you turn it on to active stabilization, there's a little bit of a crop. The a7C does have image stabilization, but no flip out screen. So if you're vlogging, you may wanna go with the a7C, and I would encourage you might want the a7C if you do plan on just vlogging. Now, if you need a camera that does not have a record limit, the a7 IV and the a7C both don't have record limits. The a7 III has a 30-minute record limit, and maybe you're asking, why do I need a record limit? If you plan on getting into things like video podcasting, where you'll need to have a longer record clip than 30 minutes, it would be important to know that these cameras do that. When I shoot YouTube videos, I don't like having to start and stop the camera. I just like to keep it rolling and have one file for my talking head video like I'm doing right now. And so having no record limit is very convenient. And so that just means the camera will record as long as an SD card allows for it, or as long as your battery allows for it. But we always encourage people, if the camera is gonna be planted, you can actually buy a battery adapter that plugs right into the wall. It gives you infinite battery. So now the only thing you have to worry about is the size of your SD card. If you plan on getting into color grading or like cinematography and filmmaking, it's important to note that the a7C and the a7 III shoot in 8-bit. This is a color profile that isn't all that detailed, whereas the a7 IV shoots in what is called 10-bit, which is plenty when it comes to getting as much dynamic range in your camera. And I don't wanna lose you here, but dynamic range is simply the amount of information that is kept in your highlights and your shadows. And with these cameras being able to shoot in flat colored profiles, the a7 IV will just perform best when it comes to that. However, in my opinion, most people don't need to color grade their videos. The image coming straight out of all three of these cameras without any flat color profiles look great. And so this would really be for someone who wants to take their videography to like the next level and get into color grading and things like that. Now, when it comes to the best camera for versatility, 100% it has to go to the a7 IV because it simply does it all. I would consider the a7 IV almost a perfect camera, and for most people, it will be a perfect camera for you. But if you know your specific needs, like if you know you just want to vlog, then the a7C might be the perfect camera for you. Maybe you just want to get into photography and that's all you want to worry about, then the a7 III is still a great photographer's camera and you don't need a flip out screen to take photos. So I would say knowing your use case, but when it comes to versatility, the a7 IV takes the cake. Now, just to quickly touch on build and ergonomics when it comes to versatility, it's important to note that the a7C, because it's so compact, they were still able to put a viewfinder, but if you want to be a photo enthusiast, it's probably not the best use case. It's just helpful if you're shooting in like the outside sun, just so you can make sure that your shot's exposed correctly if the screen isn't bright enough for your situation. Whereas the other two cameras, having a traditional viewfinder that is digital because it's a mirrorless camera, is very helpful if you plan on taking photos. Sony has also removed a lot of custom button options, but when it comes to the a7C, they definitely eliminated a lot of extra custom buttons. There are a few, but because they wanted to keep this small, you can't customize as many things. The a7 III and the a7 IV have the traditional, full frame mirrorless body style, being able to hold with your right hand and it filling in your right hand. The a7C is just kind of a little bit shallow, which I'm totally cool with, especially for vlogging. But it is important to note that Sony took into mind what the a7 III didn't have with the a7 IV, putting a simple record button on the top of the camera, full HDMI on the side of the camera. I know we talked about the articulating flip out screen, the switch to change from video to photo to SNQ mode, and even down to the details of the strap holders being kind of fitted so they don't clank around. I actually cut them off of my a7 III because it was just clankety when I was using the camera moving around. And so they really listened to a lot of Sony creators and implemented what they wanted in the next camera, which would be the expectation, right? So when it comes to the general build and ergonomics of these cameras, the a7 IV definitely wins as someone who actually likes to have the meat of the camera in my hand, I guess feel the camera. But the a7C is awesome because if I need something small to be able to vlog with, it's the perfect camera for that. But let's overview when it comes to all things considered. The Sony a7 III, even at the time of shooting this video, is still a great camera. Shoots great 4K video, looks really good. But I would definitely say, because it's a little bit outdated, it's more or less better a photographer's camera if you're trying to save some money, because for photography, this camera crushes the autofocus and all those things. However, not having that flip out screen could definitely be tough because most people are getting started. They're just filming themselves, so it's really helpful to see yourself while you're filming. It's taking more of a backseat for video with the cameras coming after it, like the a7C. I think Sony was really smart in making a video-centric version of the a7 III, which is the a7C, and it's so nice that it's compact. I would truly say that this is one of the best cameras for YouTube and vlogging because of how simple it is to use, and the image quality you get is everything you need. The mic jack input to be able to upgrade your audio and things like that. Now, I wouldn't say that this is a pro level camera, but it's definitely a great camera, especially for beginners. It's one of the easiest cameras to use out of the three. And if you're just trying to shoot simple, high quality videos, a7C is the way to go, and it definitely helps that it's the cheapest out of all three, right? But when it comes to the Sony a7 IV, hands down, this is the best camera out of all three. Simply put, the best camera. And I would say the reason being is that this camera can do it all, and it can do it all at such a high level, but it's not hard to use. And so I definitely think if you're looking to grow as a content creator, this would be the camera to get. Let me know which of these cameras probably suits your needs for what you're trying to achieve, whether it's on YouTube or even creatively. Would love to know your thoughts. But regardless of what camera you actually buy to create YouTube videos, it's important to know that you're probably gonna want a light, and you're probably gonna want a mic and a tripod and a whole setup. And if you wanna check out our studio tour and see how we make videos here at Think Media, you can do so by clicking or tapping the screen. Thank you so much for joining me in this video and camera comparison. Hope you subscribe. Can't wait to see you in a future video. Peace.